I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Time is now 5:06, 5:05. The meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety is called to order. First item on the agenda is let the record reflect we have a quorum to conduct tonight's meeting. First item is the minutes of the regular meeting of July 26, 2018. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve?
A second?
Second.
Any comments?
Nope.
All those in favor? Unanimous? Unfinished business, there being none, we'll move to new business. First item on the agenda is acceptance of the release of improvement bond and acceptance of maintenance bond for street surface and greens at Winding Ridge, Section 4. Mr. Anthony?
I don't really have anything to add. It's pretty much in line with things you've approved previously for projects this type's been inspected and everything's passed, so that's why we're moving the way we are here.
Understood, and I also saw the letter from Renee stating that the inspection had passed with no incident, so.
Right.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve item A.
Make a motion to approve?
I have a second.
Second.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Anthony?
No?
All those in favor of item A, please raise your hand. Unanimous?
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, also you, Mr. Anthony, the acceptance, item B, the acceptance of the release of the improvement bond and acceptance of maintenance bond for the street base binder curbs at Greens and Winding Ridge, Section 5. Same story.
Same story, nothing to add unless you have any questions.
I do not. What was it? Was there a 3-year warranty on that work? Is that what I saw?
Yeah, I believe so, yep.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve item B.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second?
Any comments?
Nope.
All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Unanimous?
Thank you.
Mr. Anthony. Next item on the agenda is item C, approval of the contract with Big Fish Entertainment LLC. Chief? How are you this evening?
Doing well, how are you?
Doing well, sir.
Big Fish Entertainment is the parent company of the film crew that produces the A&E hit program, Live PD. Live PD has reached out to the Lawrence Police Department and requested that they use or ride along essentially with the officers of the Lawrence Police Department for their show. Requires a rather lengthy contract, as you could tell. Probably David Johnson's going to be your best person to answer specific questions about the contract, and I can answer any questions you may have about the show, the purpose, the philosophy, why we're doing it, when will it start, those kinds of things.
Let me get some things out of the way. I'll entertain a motion to approve item C.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Anyone have any questions for Chief?
Yeah, what kind of feedback have other departments received after?
So they're concluding their second season of filming now. We've looked at police departments all over the country. Until this proposal has come to me and Lawrence Police Department, I didn't watch the show a lot. Apparently millions of people do. So other departments we're told, has been very positively received. The idea of community policing, of transparency, giving people a kind of behind-the-scenes look, a viewpoint of what somebody who's doing a ride-along might experience, and they can do it in their own living room. I've seen that other departments feature some of the same officers week after week. The premise is that there are between 7 and 8 police departments that are live on a studio type of a platform. So if you think of like a news type of a program, and on all the screens behind them is the activity of the various police departments. What they do is they focus on wherever something is happening, wherever something exciting or interesting is happening, they will go to that location. So they could go to Warwick, Rhode Island, for example, and see what the officers there are doing, and then turn around and go out to a department out in Arizona. And you can actually tell, based on lighting, time of day, that it is close to, I use air quotes because it's not live, actually. It's on about a 20-minute delay, where representatives from each police department involved have the final editorial decision on whether or not to go forward with airing the video. That person, in our case, will be Deputy Chief Woodruff. And he will be, essentially, he will be live streaming. And if he sees something that is questionable, objectionable, particularly violent, something that we don't in Lawrence want to broadcast nationwide, then he's on the phone with the producers in New York, who will then disregard that video. So it's kind of like a live action broadcast type of a show with live anchors. The NBC news analyst, Dan Abrams, is the main host, and he brings in law enforcement officials from the various agencies. It's not out of the question that Chief Woodruff might go to New York and be featured on the panel. They use those guest panelists as kind of explainers of what people at home are seeing, why the officers do what they do, why we're in this position, those kinds of things. They answer questions, they banter back and forth, and then they go back to the live video, that kind of thing. It kind of explained the basic premise of the show.
Yeah, I just,
Very well.
So what we've been told is that the social media platforms in all of these cities absolutely blow up in a good way. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the accounts where we try to push the positive things that we're doing in our department, the viewers or those who view those sites, I can't remember the number, Gary, what they said the average for the social media explosion for that, the marketing essentially. And that to me kind of relates back to positive community police relationships. So taking the mystique a little bit out of what we do, showing the human side of officers. It's not all, it's not all vehicle pursuits and dog bites and use of force. And, there are those instances, and those are exciting. That makes for good TV, but we also see lots of situations where officers are going out of their way to help a homeless person, for example, or to bring aid to a child. And then you get to see, when the officer gets back in the car, you get to see the officer's reaction, and the officer kind of narrates his or her thoughts and feelings about their job. Yeah. So overall, I think I expect it to be a very positive experience for the city of Lawrence, for the Lawrence Police Department. And in my conversations with my officers, I have many officers they're chomping at the bit. They can't wait to have that film crew in their car and have this experience. It's, as you probably know, it's a nationwide, it's a highest rated cable show on A&E right now, so.
Is it a one-year contract? Is that what I read at this point?
This is a 1 year, severability on both sides.
Okay.
We can re-up, I believe it was.
May of 19, I believe.
May 31st of 2019 is when this document ends.
Correct.
But it can be re-upped, is that the right word? Yeah. Yeah, re-executed or whatever. Or it can be terminated before that as well, if it doesn't go as I'm explaining.
Okay. Any further questions?
I really don't have any questions, but I would like to make a couple comments and just kind of give you my feeling on the whole thing is I believe that this would be, when I first saw this, I thought how exciting because I'm a huge fan of live PD. But then when I get to thinking about it, I don't know that I want this in my city. I don't think this is going to this is going to put shine a great light on Lawrence. I think it could be a negative impact from what I understand. That's why Jefferson took it out and so did Clark County took it out because a lot of the businesses were not happy with the exposure that they were getting. And it really, everybody wants to see it and they want to see what's going on because I watch it. I record it and I watch it. But I don't want to know that that's going on in my city. I already know a lot of what goes on in this city, and I think it would scare a lot of people if they actually knew. We had 6 homicides within 2 miles of this building right here, and I live within 2 miles of this building. I don't want to see that on television if I don't already know it, but I do. So maybe some other people now know. And also, too, it just brings a little fear to this area is those police officers that are shown on television. I'd be really interested to know, how it may have impacted their lives, whether that be good or bad. because when my husband's not in uniform, no one knows he's a police officer. If he's shown on television and we're in areas, they're going to know he's a police officer. And that just, concerns me a little bit. And that concerns me for all the other officers,
Sure.
especially that live here in Lawrence. And just the simple fact that I think it's just, it's going to sensationalize something and bring just a negative impact on Lawrence. I really don't see where that is going to be a benefit to us. The way that, I see, what I see on television, what I see Live PD does, I like to watch it, but I don't want it in my city. So I guess that's really, I know that wasn't a question, but,
I can address both of those if you like.
okay.
So your second point about officers and their safety when they're off duty, no officer will be forced to do this. I think that, we all know that officers have take-home cars. It's not difficult to figure out where our officers live if they park their car outside. Officers they're trained and prepared to be especially vigilant around their homes when they're off duty. They go through training on how to handle off-duty incidents. I have been doing a lot of research on the program and the second and third order effects of it. I know Jeffersonville did quietly pull the plug on Live PD in Clarksville and the New Albany, the southwestern Indiana, down by just north of Louisville, and it was for that reason. They didn't want people to know that crime occurred in their neighborhood, which I think if they don't already know, then they probably shouldn't watch the nightly news. What I think is a more powerful message that the show will allow our department and our city to highlight is, yes, there's crime here. We know there is. There's only been 5 homicides, by the way. Not that any are acceptable, but we're not at 6 yet. I take every one personally, so I do want to say that we have had 5. But I think it'll show the bravery of the people who wear the uniform of the Lawrence Police Department. It'll show the selfless, heroic actions. It'll show that we're willing to show what we do, and so I absolutely see both sides of the coin. Your points are very valid, and that's what I like about this particular agreement that you're either going to approve or not approve. But what I do like about it is we can quietly pull the plug, which is not all that quiet because it makes the news when that happens, as it did with Jeffersonville. But valid points. And what I will do, I'll pledge, if you approve this and we go forward with this, if it doesn't work out the way that we anticipate, then we will pull the plug on it. And I will listen to counselors and their constituents, and obviously the mayor's office. But to suggest that this exposes people to what they had not been aware of, or that it would keep businesses away or residents, prevent people from moving to Lawrence because they think it's a crime-ridden city. I think what they're going to see is bad guys go to jail in Lawrence, and we catch them and we prosecute them, and we have, especially considering the areas that we're surrounded by to the south and to the west, we have a relatively safe community. So those are some of my counter thoughts, with all due respect. To your points. I mean, those are all very thoughtful, big picture kind of view stuff. This is not just, an opportunity for us to say, hey, we're on TV. It's so much more than that. So to your point, I would certainly be receptive to and listen to if this is showing Lawrence in a negative light, so much so that it shows that we're a dilapidated, crime-ridden, we're a city of victims, then I'll certainly defer to the position of this board, the city council, and the mayor's office. And if we need to pull it, then I'll pull it with my apologies and say this is not what the majority of other police departments in the U.S. have experienced.
I think some of them are much bigger than us. I think this, my other concern is there's such a concentration of where a lot of probably the crime happens, and it just, to me, it just doesn't. When you're talking about like Pasco County, that's the whole county, So, it kind of spreads out and, it's much bigger than, that would be like Marion County versus Lawrence. And I don't see how this would not shed a bad light on Lawrence. I really just don't see how that it's going to come out to, people, we obviously know, the ones that watch, television know that there's crime in Lawrence. There's crime on the east side of Indianapolis. But if we're trying to, show some kind of difference in Lawrence and try to build it up, and, we're doing all this here at the fort and all the effort and, the bikes and the different things like that we're trying to do in a positive way, I think this is, is just counteracting that. But that's my opinion, so.
Okay. That's why we have a comment section.
Yep. Okay.
And I'm truly, I'm open to them all. I'm not looking through just one lens here.
Right.
So, whatever happens here, if it's approved, as I said, you have my assurance that we'll look at it every step of the way, and we'll evaluate, and we'll see what, if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. So I think this is just an opportunity to try something new. It's relatively risk-free outside of perception, which if that perception is there, then yeah, we'll pull the plug. If we feel like this is not a good thing for the city of Lawrence, after we try it, then we'll back away from it. And I'll apologize to you and tell you that it was done with the best of intentions, and but I've just received nothing but positive feedback from people who are waiting for Live PD to start. They say it on our Facebook page. People come up to me in the street when they hear about it, and they say, "Hey, when's Live PD coming?" They want to see what we do. So I think the city of Lawrence also is somewhat unique. You're right. We're small. We're 20 square miles, 48,000 residents, but we get a little bit of everything. We've got a small town feel here, with obviously the influence of a violent urban area. Just a mile from here. But we also have some residents in some very affluent neighborhoods who have different sorts of needs from the police department. That'll be featured. It won't just be, the 42nd and Post corridor. We're not just going to keep the show in there. We're going to hopefully feature all different types of police service that are provided, not just arresting people all the time. So,
Just for clarification, when I was reading through this, you're going to have a right to control some of the narrative too.
we'll have direct control. If during the live show, we have a 20-minute window before an incident that happens in real time makes it to the show. And in that 20 minutes, there are a team of lawyers in New York who assure us that anything particularly violent will be screened out. But also we'll have our own editorial control in Chief Woodruff.
And then when it's a final cut, you'll have 48 hours to review, I think in section 5 or so. After it's done, you'll have 48 hours to review what they're gonna show.
Yeah, there are parts of the show so when they have the 8 or however many live cams going, if there's a slow time, then they'll also have other parts where they will have recorded with different police departments around the country, and then that's where we have the 48 hours to review
Not
that
everything.
So there are times where in 8 different communities, there's nothing really going on. So what they do to be prepared for that, for the show's purposes of being live, they'll ride along on day shift and middle shift, because the show airs on Friday and Saturday nights from 9 p.m. until midnight. And during those 3 hours of live broadcasting, it's not real common, but sometimes it's a quiet night at that particular time, and they will go and they'll say, okay, well, we don't have anything going on live, but here's what happened in Lawrence on Monday morning, and they might go to a pursuit, and that's what will be, we've got 48 hours to vet that video and make sure that that the B-roll, that the non-live footage will be controlled and edited.
Okay. And I've not seen the show, but when I've asked about it, people get real excited, so.
Yeah, a good way to, if you go to the livepd.com, they have a really nice website that features videos and shows all the departments, and that's another part of the positive impact that Lawrence
Like
might have.
cops.
It's not like Cops. So Cops, I'm familiar with them. I have had them ride with me in my previous agency. They will come into an agency and ride with officers on all shifts for maybe up to a month. And a large agency like IMPD, for example, they could have dozens and dozens of really show-worthy clips, and they'll put together a really exciting show. And that's just a different philosophy. This is in real time. You know, you'll be watching it, and the sun will be going down in your backyard, and depending on what agency they're at, that's the same lighting that you'll be watching on TV.
I have to watch it.
It'll depend. In the wintertime, it's a little different. The sun's not up at 9 p.m., but, so.
Thank you, Chief. Any further questions or comments?
Thank you.
Anything from legal on the contract at all?
No.
Okay. I do have a first and second. All those in favor of approval of item C, please raise your hand. All those opposed? 2-1, item C passes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next item on the agenda is comments of the administration. Mr. Anthony? Oh, that's right, we don't have anything, do we? How was National Night Out, Chief? Do you have anything? Okay.
Yeah, we visited 18 different sites. We had 3 teams of probably 20 officers, civilian employees, explorers. The weather was great. We had just what everybody says, probably the best National Night Out we've ever had.
What I'm hearing.
Covered a lot of ground, we met a lot of people. At the end, when we had our final roll call or our final briefing, I bet we had, 60 people there? 60 people wearing uniforms or polos with badges, and we really got a chance to reach out to a lot of our neighborhood watch groups in a large, kind of a capacity. So it's not just me showing up at a crime watch meeting. It's 20 people showing up to a cookout.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Speaking of cookouts, great segue. You've got one coming up in 2 days that you need to get prepared for, sir. Hot Wings competition. Good luck with that.
This coming Saturday, August 11th, over at 59th and Lee at the fire training compound there, will be our Community Safety Day.
Yes.
It starts at 10 a.m., it runs till 2. There'll be vendors, demonstrations by the SWAT team, the LFD, vehicle extraction team, a canine demonstration, medical helicopter will be landing, and people can tour that. We'll have IMPD mounted patrol horses that you can meet, free food for anybody, picnic-style food, hot dogs and so forth. But kind of the pinnacle of the day is the 3rd annual wing eating competition between the Lawrence Police Department and the Lawrence Fire Department. That'll kick off right around 11:30.
Okay.
So anybody that can't commit to 4 hours, if they want to kind of be there at the high point at 11:30 is a good time to go.
Okay.
And
The reigning champion of that is,
I think it's a 1-to-1 match right now.
yeah, this is a grudge match.
Yeah, I think
2016,
it
the
is.
police department won. 2017, last year, we took it on the chin to the firefighters, and this year is going to be a grudge match.
Okay. All right. Well, sounds like a challenge. Good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thanks for the update. Okay. No citizens' comments. With no further business coming before this board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? We are adjourned.
You got to 5:30.
I know. I got to go.